You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is the Waystation, your source for Star Wars news and rumors. Today is June 23rd, 2024, and it's been a while since we've met. It's been almost 3-4 weeks. So a lot has happened in that period. Something called the Acolyte has been released. We've got a new HasLab thing to pay a lot of money for over the next year or so. And Oreo cookies are sweeping the nation, at least in the U.S., coming to Canada very soon. But more on that here in just a minute. We've got some other stuff too as well, some video game news and some other goodies. So we'll get right into it. And joining me first off, as always, is Ed Garcia. Ed, welcome to the show. How are you doing, man?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks. It's been before the Acolyte started, I believe.
That's exactly right.
The last time we saw each other.
Yeah.
Father's Day got in the way, I think.
Father's Day, and we had a couple other things that came up. But we're here, and we got a lot to discuss around the Acolyte specifically. Also hailing from parts unknown is Fred Kennedy. Fred, welcome to the show, man. Welcome back, sir.
Buddy, I'm excited to be here. It's a good day. It's a good day.
Yeah.
Game 7 tomorrow. We're all excited.
Oh, man. I had to get that one in, didn't you?
Jonesy owes me his allegiance.
I know. He does.
He said he does. He owes me his allegiance for that game tomorrow night.
Yeah. You guys can take that offline, but he's
all good.
No, he's been talking about it off the record here with me as well. So hey, before we jump into the news, just want to say thank you to all of our Patreon members. These are the guys that support us every week financially. We do appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on. But especially our now part of the tribe members. So Raphael, Danny, Rob, Mike Borda, Lauren, Dante, Riss Bayless, Justin, Jackson, Sharkman Dan, Daz, Isabella, Uncle Leon, Josh C, Jacob, and Reader Reborn, who's with us in the chat tonight. Thank you guys so much. And our top tier, which are our Delusions of Grandeur members. Those are Now This Is Pod Racing, CJ, Steve, and Daz. If you guys are interested in Patreon, you can head out to cantinacast.com/Patreon. Sign up there for as little as $2, and you get a whole back catalog of tons and tons of shows and content. A lot of that, which is evergreen, which means it's still fresh and you can still get something out of it, hopefully. So that's available out there. And if you guys are joining us on the live stream tonight, thank you so much for joining us live here. You can head out to cantinacast.com/YouTube or youtube.com/cantinacast. Either way, we'll get you there. And please subscribe this video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. If you guys have questions, throw them up there. We'll try to get to some of those as we go through the news today. We definitely appreciate you guys jumping in for this. Quick programming note. After the show, Jonesy and I will be back to do a Patreon Q&A for Patreon members only. But we've got a number of questions that have been coming through social media, Discord, our Patreon app, wherever you guys have been sending them in. We're going to get to all those questions, and we're going to take a look at all of the footage that has not been shown yet in the Acolyte that was shown as part of the teasers and trailers that came out. There's a lot there, and surprisingly, there's some things in there like, whoa, now it all kind of starting to make sense. So that should be a lot of fun to dig into that and start speculating and theorizing as to how we can get to where we see some of that footage. So again, that's going to be here at 10 p.m. Central. Well, right after the show anyways. So stick around if you're a Patreon member. If not, head out there, sign up. You'll get a link almost immediately for that. Okay, with that, let's talk Acolyte. Acolyte's upon us. Ed, I'm going to go to you first. I guess, have you had a chance to, they did 4.8 million viewers, not too shabby. Quite a lot of people tuned in for it. It's been a lot of discussion. Most of it has been, for probably all the wrong reasons. But I guess, what's your experience been like? Have you enjoyed the series? And we got some other questions here about who the master is and stuff. But just kind of, what are your initial impressions of the show so far?
Yeah, I've liked it. I haven't loved it yet, but I feel like I am gonna love it. I feel like there's like some twists coming and some things that they're gonna drop on us and everything to this point, especially just to the end of the last episode. has just been like a setup for a lot of things. I have not, the discourse about the show is what I have not liked, because there's so much criticism that's been super disingenuous. And I love like when you can criticize something and you can have a real discussion about what's going on. But if you're just picking it apart because of social things in the real world that you don't believe in, and you're not actually, I don't know, criticizing the story or criticizing like what's going on, I don't feel like I can have this conversation with you, because there are little things, little nooks and crannies of the show that I just want to be like, was that necessary, or are they telegraphing too much, or maybe they're not, maybe it's all a misdirection and it's going to be a huge spin. Like, so far, like, not love.
Yeah, and I would agree. Like, for the most part, I've been arguing in the trenches for the last 3 weeks on this show, mostly on Twitter, honestly. And I have been called some of the worst things ever. And to be fair, like, I've seen some of my peers and our peers, I guess, and what they're being called and how they're being treated. And it's not even close. I'm not going to say, oh, poor me kind of thing, but it's been pretty bad. And I've been happy to engage with folks that said, I don't like the story. I don't like where this is going. I don't like the way they've set things up. It was promoted as a murder mystery. I'm not really seeing that. It was promoted as being heavy Sith influence, and we're getting mostly Jedi. I think that's all fair criticism. Once we get into the other shenanigans and the nonsense and the stuff that's really just about hate and your grief for Disney or other, like you said, real world issues, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, you're doing the wrong thing there, going about this the wrong way. So I 100% agree with you. I think criticism is fair. That debate is fair, and that is happening on a positive level at times too. So, Fred, 4 episodes in, we're at the halfway mark at this point. How are you feeling about it? And then I want your pick as far as who you think the master apprentice is right now, the guy in the helmet.
I loved the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
I really did. But I could smell that they were doing something I didn't like.
And what is that?
And that is like
the misdirection.
Like I said, no. Oh, no. I love misdirection. I think from a story.
Oh, you're talking about the Jedi. The Jedi.
That's right.
Sorry,
I am.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's right. I am.
Here, let me give you the soapbox. Go right ahead, sir.
Listen, I don't have any problem with them putting somebody in the Jedi Council or at a position of power, like Cal Mundi, like talking about, oh, there's been no such for a bazillion years, like that whole thing. I don't mind when you do that, but it's very tiresome when we grew up hearing for 10,000 years, the guardians of peace and justice, and like great characters have believed in this idea of the Jedi being good. I always viewed them as like the Shaolin monks beyond the political sphere of, the Galactic Senate and all that. But I feel like in the last like 20 years, it's just been like the edgy thing to do is make the Jedi bad, and it's like Saul's such a great character. He's so well portrayed. He's so fantastic.
He really is.
Yeah. And I could smell that coming. And then the 3rd episode I thought was very soft. And I mean soft in terms of like its storytelling. It felt, my editor, Allison O'Toole, who is one of the best editors in the game for my comic book work, she has this expression she uses called old hat. And she goes, give me something new. Don't put on the old hat. And I feel like episode 3 was just old hat. And it was very on the nose, very tropey storytelling. And I felt that as a dude, I was coming at it from a dude's male gaze, and I wanted to get a different perspective on it. So I watched it with my wife, who's been watching the whole series with me. And she goes, and this is what she said bluntly. She goes, they're not giving me anything I haven't seen before. And she goes, it's Star Wars. You have the entire galaxy of options ahead of you. Do something good. And so that was my takeaway. Episode 4, I thought they started to ramp it up. I thought it improved, but I still had that taste in my mouth. And then that closing scene, episode 4, and I'm like, okay,
they got you.
I'm back in.
They got you.
I'm back in. I'm back in. Like what a shot to end it with.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've been waiting for. And Saul knowing it was coming, like that subtle turn, like he turns to
could
see
sense
it.
Could feel the presence.
Yes. And you joked around about her buddy. I forget what's his name.
Kamir.
You joked around about it with your little drawing of his jawline under the helmet on social media. And that was in my head when I was watching the scene. But I think my theory, and I don't know if you want me to like jump ahead here.
No, go right ahead.
Coral.
Knock it out.
I think
Coral's a prime suspect for a lot of people.
Is my theory, but I feel that's too. Coral is my theory, but I feel that's too on the nose. But given the way they treated the plot development in episode 3, I worry that it could be that on the nose.
So more on the nose than Khmer? Because Khmer, it feels like every sign is available. Like everything that you could possibly think. I mean, everything lines up. How about that?
Yeah, no. What I mean, because there is a definite sense of when you watch the progression with the sisterhood and their need to get away from their persecution, et cetera, and now the mission is to kill a Jedi without a weapon, and they have this idea that they need to prove themselves better than the Jedi, so killing them without a weapon, like I feel like the levels are there, and I feel like when I say on the nose, that would fit in with what they're doing. But Khmer feels like fun, it feels like I love a mischievous villain that's actually a complete psychopath. I love that,
Right. And I think
I also am pumped for episode 5, John. I'm also pumped for it because what a way to finish it. I'm stoked. Like when I can criticize something and not hate on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure. The
mask has no nose.
And the way episode 5 ended, I think I forget now. One of the writers, I forget her name. She came out on Twitter and was talking. I mean, she was under attack by a bunch of terrible people, of course. But she said, look, we had to cut this at some point. And Jonesy and I have talked about this, and I think we've talked about this, you and I, Ed, on a couple of shows for some of the other previous Star Wars television that's come out. There's always it's Disney Plus, right? It's subscription based. So we're not really up against commercial breaks and that sort of thing. They don't necessarily have to write to that. So it can be kind of weird as far as where they do cut these episodes. This is not the first time it's happened. This felt very similar to, I joked that it was very similar to like Lost, where every episode ended and you're like, what? Like you've just lost your complete mind, shocked, right? But she was talking about how, they really wanted to kind of break this up. I think, after we've seen the full length of all 8 episodes, that's usually where it starts to kind of make more sense for us, going back and retrospectively looking at it and going, okay, yeah, I can see where they probably should have cut it there versus, made it 1 episode, that kind of thing. But she did say it was something they were consciously aware of when they cut it. So it wasn't like they were doing it intentionally to shock anybody. It's just that's kind of where the natural jumping off point was. And the cool thing is going into episode 5, it's like, we have to pick up right there. And it feels like we are going to get all of that footage that we've seen with Jecki fighting the Master and Soul getting, standing up completely battered and asking, what are you kind of thing. I mean, this looks like we're going to have a pretty intense, dramatic kind of episode 5. Before we move further, though, John's talking about something that I posted earlier, I think. But Ed, I guess any theory, speculations of who you think the Master is at this point? Are you saying Khmer?
You think they're going to pick up like right where they left off? I feel like this is a perfect, like we're going to do a flashback for an entire episode.
No, I mean,
I don't want that either.
Another week.
I think you're right though, Ed.
I wouldn't hate the show. Like this is the stuff like, I don't know why people get so bent out about this. This is the fun part as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Now granted, I've said this before, I grew up on Lost. And so I'm kind of, I've got Stockholm syndrome in terms of what good television is like and how you should be treated as an audience member. But I think that'd be kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say awful, but it would shock a lot of people because I think we're all waiting to see how that rest of that scene plays out. But I wouldn't put it past them either, right? I mean,
the fight choreography is fantastic.
It's been great.
It's been so good. They've been fighting the way I want to see Jedi fight, like that.
Yep.
Still, it's been so well done, so well executed. It harkens
Except
back
for that
to
last scene where they didn't fight how Jedi is supposed to.
Yeah,
and that's how they got
thrown around. Yeah. Who do you have? Who's on top of your list there, Ed? For
watching it, I thought it was going to be Manny Jacinto. I thought it was going to be Khmer, right? Because it's like it just so many little things were pointing to it. Like you said, like he was playing the fool, like that to me reminded me of like Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, where he's playing the fool. And all of a sudden he's, the Jedi Master. I forget the scene. I think it was like in the second episode where like May attacked him and he just kind of like brushed her off really like easily. Yes. And you're like, wait, isn't he supposed to be like the dummy? in
Yeah.
like the pawn shop or whatever. How did he do that? So like as soon as that scene happened, my eyes are like on him. But at the same time, it's like, is this the telegraphing thing? Are they telegraphing this to make me think, oh, we're doing this, and all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, Carrie Ann Moss isn't dead. She faked her death, and she's been the Sith the entire time.
Ooh, that'd be pretty cool. I gotta be honest, I'm such an idiot.
Do you guys
I like
put
that.
put your tinfoil hats on, please, if you're going to talk this way. Okay. Yeah, it was similar to like Palpatine at the end of Revenge of the Sith, right? Where he was while the battle was going on between Anakin and Dooku, he's acting like he's helpless and defenseless. And we all know he could have killed everybody in that room, right? He's just that powerful. So it's kind of like the hiding in plain sight kind of thing. The other thing, and I'll kind of maybe I kind of want your guys' thoughts before we move on. I want your thoughts on what you're looking forward to either in the next episode or by the end of this series. But the last thing I'll say about some of the writing, I think, and I've said this before on the show, but I know we've got different audience members tonight. So the marketing around this show, and specifically around the perspective, episode 3 was very much the perspective of May. And if you look at it through her lens, especially because it is flashback, through the lens of a child, I think that's where a lot of this stuff kind of fits, maybe feels a little tropey. And I'm not being an apologist at all by any means. I'm just saying, I think some of what I'm hearing from a lot of people is like, I didn't really understand that episode at all. Like it felt too, like there was stuff that was missing. It was kind of clunky. How could she start a fire with a candle? And I think all of that is really about the perspective of May. Based on when these episodes are kind of laid out, it looks like Osha. It looks like we're going to get a May perspective issue or episode, probably around episode 7. And so it will be interesting to see, let this Rashomon effect play out. But all this is really great if you're like in the weeds and reading about it. You know what's going to happen. You know what's being expected of you as an audience member and what the writers have put forth. But I don't think Disney has really done a good job, or Lucasfilm has done a good job of telegraphing that and letting people know, because I think a lot of people are genuinely scratching their heads going, I loved 1 and 2 and 4 was awesome, but that third episode, there was just something odd about it. And I'm not really exactly sure why. And I think a lot of it is about the perspective. So, I guess, Ed, Fred, what are you looking forward to in the next episode, and what are you looking forward to before this series ends outside of the Jedi? Well, let me ask you this. Hold on. Sorry. Time out. The Jedi's perspective about the Jedi and being maybe not the shining light that you were hoping for. I think Lauren is still probably kind of in that same boat, but do you think there's time to turn that around? Do you think there's something they could do to kind of win back anybody that feels like the Jedi aren't being treated, I wouldn't say being treated, but aren't being cast in the brightest of lights here?
What's frustrating is it seems like they keep following what the council will think, when they're supposed to be listening to what the Force is telling them to do. And I think that's my core issue is they're not following what the Force is guiding them to do, Whereas like that's like what Obi-Wan was explaining to Luke in like the very, very first Star Wars movie. I think that there's a possibility we could see that. And I mean, maybe we're just seeing the incompetencies of, the people that are surrounding Saul. Saul is fantastic.
Sure. Yeah. He's cast in the same mold as like a Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah. And what John says, maybe the person in the mask is likely the apprentice and not the master. That's entirely possible too. I don't like to get my head in a space where I think it needs to do this for me to like it, because I think genuinely a lot of fan complaints start with that mentality. They go in wanting something to happen, and then they don't get what they wanted, and then they're looking for a reason to get mad and looking for provocation and justification for it online. So I just want to see Saul be like Space Daddy Kanan. That's what I want to see. I want to see more of that, listening to the Force. Can we just see some good people, like, for once? Like, there are good people out there. There is hope. And I think the Star Wars franchise is built on the idea of hope, but they get so caught up in this, no, we got to have everybody's conflicted and they've secretly got a dark past. It's like, no, I'm sorry. No, we don't all need to see that all the time. Sometimes, yes, not all the time. I want to see space wizards be good guys.
Jonesy says Saul seems to have dirty laundry. Fred's world is going to collapse on itself.
Collapse on itself like the Dallas Stars.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you can't. Shots fired. Ed, what about you? What are you looking forward to in the next episode?
There is no hope yet, Fred, because that's coming up in 130 years.
Right, that's what it's all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stand corrected.
No hope here, sir. Move
That
along.
discussion reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen that Homelander meme where they're like American history taught to us in school, and it's like Superman, then like American history in reality, and it's like Homelander. And like, I think we're getting like the Homelander version right now. What am I? Yeah, I'm hoping like I get a twist that it's going to be like, oh, okay. You know, like this, like I get misdirected to something that I wasn't seeing, right? Like with the Khmer prediction there. I saw this other theory out there that May is just a force projection by OSHA, that May actually died when they were kids. And this is just like a force projection. So now I have to go back and watch every episode. I'm like, does anyone actually physically touch May? Is this like The Last Jedi and like in how Luke had like the force projection across the universe? Right. Is that what's happening here? Or is it just somebody on Reddit just thinking too much?
And that's why she can't use the force very well, because she's
she's just a force projection.
Stop.
She's using all of her force.
Stop. No. So when she's fighting Saul, there is a lot of physical contact that's happening there. So just not to poke holes in it, because I think that's a fun theory. The Fight Club theory is kind of fun. It's all just a figment of her imagination, right? She's like multiple personality. There's some really great ones out there, and I'm not poo-pooing on everything, but yeah, I mean, those are all great rumors. I think the biggest one is it looks like there may be a role reversal, and I don't want to spoil anything, but there were actually some of the footage that came out that Jonesy and I are going to talk about here in just a little bit. There's some footage where we see May OSHA picking up a dark side lightsaber, and it looks like there is a scene where Saul is holding May's hand and saying, "Are you ready?" It's like, where are they going? Why would they be with May? Who would they be going after? Well, it could be OSHA. So we may get a role reversal here. So that's why I say, like, I guess the big takeaway for me on this series and what I've been trying to tell people is like, temper expectations, temper what you feel is going to happen, because she was very clear about this coming out. You're not really going to know the full story. What you think is going to happen isn't going to happen. She's already said that. And whether that's meaning subverting expectations or thinking outside the box or maybe getting, whatever it is, it feels like by the end of the series, we'll have a very different look and opinion about how the show played out. But in between now and then, this discourse is going to continue to happen, which I think is great, because it's certainly everybody's talking about it, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But we've got some time here to kind of figure it all out. So. What about I guess both of you guys have chimed in on your productions. Any final thoughts, comments before we move on to talk about episode 11, I guess, technically?
People need to stop being jerks on the internet. I think that's really my final thought. That's my bookend there.
Don't be an a-hole, man.
Yeah.
There's too many of those people already out there. All right, let's look at, I'm going to pull this up real quick. So this came out here not too long ago. I think it was last week. This is just a working title for all intents and purposes. It could be the official name, which I don't think it is, honestly. Usually when this comes up, and what we're looking at here is there was the film, what is this called? The Film and Television Industry Alliance has, they keep track of all the movies that are going into production. They recently posted this here. This is Star Wars Episode 10. 10, not I was thinking Rogue One, but 10, A New Beginning. A New Beginning being the working title for this film. Now, this is going to be the one that takes place 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. This is the movie that's going to feature Daisy Ridley reprising her role as Rey Skywalker. And allegedly, she's going to have, there's 3 other cast members, at least for now, main cast members, 2 of which are supposed to be her apprentices. We could theorize or speculate on those 2. And then the third member of the main cast is going to be the antagonist, whoever that may be. And that's about all we know right now. So I guess, Fred, as you were looking through this, and I've got the kind of the synopsis here, there's really nothing in here to kind of pull away from the synopsis. It's pretty much everything that's already been talked about. But any thoughts around, I guess, are you excited to see what the Force looks like and what the Jedi Academy looks like 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker?
I think Miss Marvel had a really cool vibe. Like, and my kids loved Miss Marvel. I wasn't the biggest fan of Miss Marvel as a show, but I can appreciate something when I'm clearly not the intended audience.
Yeah.
But the thing that my takeaway from that show was is that it had a very cool aesthetic and a cool style. And it's very difficult to pull something like that off in something as filled with as much grandeur as the MCU, but it had a really unique vibe. The whole show did. And I would like to see something fresh in Star Wars, and that piques my interest right there. I also believe that Rey got done pretty dirty. I think that Rey and Finn got done dirty in the sequels trilogy. I would love to see Finn back in the mix. I don't know if we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to get that at all. I thought that he got done dirty and we as the audience got served a dish that we didn't end up getting. You know what I mean? I thought that we are going to get more from that character. I'm hopeful. I love Star Wars. So my thoughts are be good. Please just be good. Can we see that? Be good. Be good.
It's very much in the vein of Palpatine, where I love democracy kind of thing.
Yeah.
This so to be clear, what's his name? The guy that played, I'm drawing a blank now. The guy that played Finn,
John Boyega.
John Boyega. He kind of, they had a kind of a closed door session. I think it was almost like 2 years ago. Closed door session. He went back to Lucasfilm. He came out of that, posted on social media that everybody was good, like whatever grievances and all. I mean, because there's lots of stories about there how he felt he wanted, the direction that he was told Finn's character was going to go in, didn't turn out to be the case. But there are now, after coming out of that interview, he was like, "Hey, we're all good now. Everything seemed kind of positive." And then right after that, we got this announcement that this new movie was coming out, and so it was, naturally, we're going to bind those two together and think, oh, that's why they cleared the air. That's why they kind of came to agreement, because he's going to feature as Finn as one of her apprentices. I think that rumor is still valid. I think there could be some truth in that. But to your point, I don't know that he's really, he's got a lot going on now these days. And to have him come back and do this role, it feels like he would be doing it probably for Daisy Ridley, but maybe for the character itself. We know how passionate he was about this character, especially how it was sold and pitched to him initially. So there could be a redemption piece of it or component to all of that as well in this. But is that, Ed, for you, is that something that you'd want to are as far as like her apprentices, Finn, or are you thinking like all new cast?
Do it for the money. Like I'm sure they'll give them a lot of money.
Right, yeah.
To do it. I also heard that it was going to be called Return of a New Beginning. I think they changed it. It was going to be Revenge of a New Beginning. Then now it's
I was like, wait, what? Beginning. No. Okay.
He's here all week. Try the steak.
Yeah,
I really hope, because they've said that this is just going to be a one-off, right? Even though there's probably secretly planning this to be a trilogy. I hope if they are planning on a trilogy, it's going to be the same person writing all three, and they've learned from the mistakes of Last Jedi and the ninth one. I can't remember.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. That like, oh, hey, I actually didn't like what you did last movie, so I'm going to change a bunch of stuff. Oh, I didn't like what you changed, so I'm going to change it back and make it not make sense to what we did. It's like, for me, and this is back to the discourse of like people who are disingenuous with their criticism. To me, the biggest criticism for Last Jedi was like it just didn't pay attention to what they set up in the previous thing. There's like, oh, I want to do Star Wars, but I'm going to do my own thing, so forget what you set up. So like, and that probably was like the frustration with John Boyega. It's like, wait, whoa, I thought we're gonna do this, and we're not. Yeah. We're just gonna ignore all of that. Oh, okay. So like, whatever they do, whatever they have planned for episode 10, 11, 12, if they're planning that far, or hopefully they're planning that far, that it's like it's the same voice that it's going to carry the story till the end. Finish the story.
Yeah, same beats,
and right. Then go have somebody else write it.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker had kind of that impossible task of trying to marry 7 and 8 and put a bow on the whole 9 stories, right? The saga. I'm like, good luck with that. I mean, they got a lot of money. Don't get me wrong.
They had some space horses, though. That was the key.
They did have space horses.
Not united awesome. The whole thing. They had space horses, and they rode on the outside of a Star Destroyer.
You don't know what the atmosphere was like there. Okay, now I sound like an apologist. So
I'm not being like I'm not dumping on it.
I know.
But come on. I remember being in the theater on like a matinee during Christmas break with my kids going like, okay,
let's go with it.
Here we are.
Saddle up, boys and girls. We're heading out into space.
Like, to be honest, we're talking about a movie with guys that can like manipulate energies and move stuff with laser swords. It's not that big of a stretch.
Right.
But when I saw the horses gallop, I'm like, this is like insanity. Here we are.
I mean,
Really?
my thing was the knife thing, right? When he was like, "All right, it's gonna line up perfect." Wait, that's not how waves work. What are you doing? What? And sea levels? No.
No, it was like I didn't get mad. Like I don't. Maybe I'm a weirdo. I don't get
No,
mad
you're
about
normal.
these things.
Most normal people don't get upset by this stuff. I mean,
But, like,
we call it out and we can joke about it, but we're not
Yeah.
like upset going burn it all down. This is terrible.
I remember driving home from the video. What'd you boys think of those space horses to my kids? And they're like, they were so
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
they were so
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I'm
not
like,
written
okay,
for
all
us.
right.
Yeah.
We enjoy
Sure,
it.
man.
We
Sure.
enjoy it, but we're not the target audience. I get it.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine. That's fine. I don't need nothing. Not everything needs to be. I have Andor. Not everything needs to be for me, man. Okay, it's fine. I got Rogue One. I got Andor. I'm good. I love it all.
And that's what I hate most about the disingenuous criticism, right? Because then we can't have fun making fun of the whatever and just have fun criticizing it. It just becomes this like they need to, they're the woke mob. Star Wars took over. Like, oh come on, man! Can
They
we
talked
just
to a
have
bunch of horse girls, and the horse girls said that you need to have space horses. It's like
that those horses were gay.
okay.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
I'll find anything to complain about. So just quickly, one other thing that came up as far as this new movie, Comic Book Resource had an interview with what's her name, Obaid Chinoy, director of this movie, and she did talk about. She said this world that we want young viewers to sort of walk into and have an understanding of the world. At its heart, for me, is Rey Skywalker. It's Daisy Ridley and her story, and taking her on an adventure to a Jedi Academy, and of sort of creating a world that is a natural dovetail to the story that we've seen her go through in the last 3 episodes. So to our point, the point that we're making right here, they are looking at this as we locked in a ton of people, a lot of new viewers, a lot of new fans, people like my daughter, who's absolutely obsessed with Rey. She is going to flip when she finds out that this movie's out, right? This is what they're doing. And so they're looking at that and they're being very sensitive to that. And so, again, this may not be the movie that's being written for me, and I'm okay with that, right? I've got my other Star Wars. I've got my original trilogy. I've got Andor. I've got Rebels, right? There's stuff in there that resonates with me. But like I've said so many times, Star Wars is so big now that it's unreasonable to think that they're going to go out there and churn out every single product and make sure that everyone in the entire world is absolutely going to fall in love with it. It's just unrealistic, and it's not how anything creatively is created, unfortunately. So just the nature of things. So it does look like it's going to be focused around Rey Skywalker, and they're going to probably do her better. So looking forward to that as well.
And this isn't new to Star Wars, right? I remember being a kid and watching Droids and watching like the Ewoks cartoon. And I'm sure people in their teens and 20s probably hated that. It's like, oh, when did Star Wars become for babies? I hate it. But as a child at the time, I was like, this is cool. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you remember an episode of Droids where they were like on Tatooine and they worked as like a pit crew for this like
Yes,
like race? Yeah, and it was called the White Witch, and it was this like race ship called the White Witch. And I always remember like wishing that we had some White Witch Easter egg throwbacks in one of the movies. And I've said this, like, there's one thing that Star Wars seems to hit out of the park every time, and it's race sequences. Like the pod race sequence, and then there was the race sequence in Bad Batch in season 3, like, or was it season 2 that what they had the big race? I think it was season 2 actually. But consistently, Star Wars does amazing race sequences. I would love to see almost like a Days of Thunder Star Wars movie about the White Witch. And you can say that that's bad, but all of us that watched Droids and the Ewoks animated series, I find out there's like a Star Wars racing movie. I'm there. Cole Trickle in space, I'm there. Making it happen.
Trickle in space. If you want that, it's right
exactly,
here.
Jonesy.
It's my hat.
Yes. See? Make
Star
it
Wars
happen.
Resistance, the whole thing. I mean, the first season, anyways, it's all about racing. So
yeah,
and some great stuff in that.
So
for all 5 of us that watch that show, it was great.
That was a great animation style on that show.
Yeah, Albert also has Caravan of Courage. So yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I have it right here actually. Yeah. The Ewok Adventure on VHS.
On VHS, very
before
good.
It was officially called anything else. All right, well, let's get into a very hot and controversial topic, and by that I mean Oreos. Star Wars Oreos are among us. They released here, I guess, it's been about 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks now. Which, by the way, if you go to the Oreo website, this is the first thing that comes up here, and you can sign up and enter to win It's like some limited Hildebrandt signed artwork, which is amazing because he's the guy that did the original movie posters, right? So once you get past all that, if you want to, you can sign up for it. But have you guys? Oh wait, I was going to ask you: have you guys had a chance to try these? But I forgot you're in Canada, which have not made their way up there yet. But you probably hear it first. June 10th is when they plan on hitting stores. I don't know what stores just yet, but June 10th is when they'll make their way up to Canada. So. I was going to ask, like, what did you think about them? Have you had a chance to taste them? But it's probably a sore subject.
No, I haven't had them yet. But I'll try them I'll try them. I'm going to Comic-Con next month in San Diego. I'll have some then.
I've had three. Some. Yeah, I've had 3 packages already, and not by myself. I've been sharing them. But the one thing, they're tiny little packages. First off, I was not expecting that. This is one of the
shrinkflation, man. Shrinkflation.
I guess. The same price though. Funny how that works.
Because they've got the force in them. It's hard to get the force into the machine.
Oh, that's right.
Put it into all the cookies. That stuff doesn't come cheap, you know.
There's the force right there that you're talking about. That white center, which has been, I'm going to call it Oreo Gate. Because I guess somebody pulled it open and was like, whoa, man, this cookie's not all blue. This is a ripoff. And it went viral. Like people were losing their minds over the fact that these cookies...
people were mad on the internet about something trivial.
Yes, what? I know. It sounds crazy, Fred, but it's true. It's true.
Okay. All right. I'll believe it.
If you look at the lightsaber, though, the middle of the lightsaber is white. Yep. So shouldn't the middle of the Oreo also be white?
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense, Ed, but you're a very logical and reasonable man.
Comes in. Love it.
If anything, I feel it's probably more difficult to have like the white center with the blue around it, right? Wouldn't they just dye the whole batch of icing blue than just stamp it?
Yeah. Part of it is the middle has what they call kyber crystals. So I will say this, like the cookie is I just opened one right here in front. We're doing a live unboxing of this cookie. But you can see there's one side of it there. There's the blue with the white in the middle. If you flip it around, it's kind of almost all blue. This stuff dyes, by the way. It dyes your hands. But what they did is they infused these cookies. So the middle tastes normal. Outside of what they've infused it with, which is just crystal sugar, crystallized sugar. They're calling it kyber crystals. So imagine eating an Oreo cookie and then there's like a slight crunch to it that's going on in there, a very sweet crunchiness to it. I'm not a big fan of them. I think they're fine and they're fun to collect. And certainly I spent a lot of money on these things already, but I don't know. It's not my favorite. And you can't really they don't do well dunking in milk, like soaked up, which I like. I like soggy Oreos, and I'm giving you guys too much information here. Fred can't believe why you joined the show here. But
we're getting like a Gordon Ramsay-esque review of these cookies. There's a slight sweet crunch. Pairs well with certain wines.
What you don't want to do the milk, right? You don't want to do the beef milk. You go salsa. You dip the Oreos in salsa, and it gives like this sweet, salty taste.
You wouldn't think it'll work, but it does work.
It does work.
You wouldn't think
I've done this
works.
on a radio bit. It's delicious.
Are you serious?
Did you really do this?
Yeah. Ask Casey Joe on Monday.
Okay, I will.
Okay, well, I guess we can get into what kind of salsa pairs well. Green.
We just used like Old El Paso.
Oh, jeez.
Whatever was in the grocery store next to the Oreos.
I'm offended by that, honestly. Here's an interesting thing about these Oreos, by the way. So when you get them, and I'm not going to be able to do, I meant to pull up a picture of this and I didn't get a chance to. So I'm going to hold the package up. But if you can see right here, every package has kind of like a date stamped right there. You can kind of see it. This one says 20th November, blah, blah, blah. At the very end of that, the expiration date, there is a letter. There's an A and a B. If you get an A package, that is the light side. If you get a B package, you get the dark side. And I went and tested this out. It is true. Every package that I picked up today has been blue. Every package that's B has been red. So if you want to play the game, which is you're supposed to go in and pick it, and that kind of determines your destiny by the color of the Oreo on the inside, go ahead and do that. If you want to take the fun out of it, just look for A and B on the package and you know which side you're going to get on there.
I get upset when I make bad dialogue choices in video games. I am the most light side dude ever.
So this is for you then.
Yeah. I'll open it. It's red. It's like much fear in me of being the bad guy. I guess I got to be a bad guy then.
Yeah. But let's see. What else was I going to mention about? Oh, and also there are 2 Oreos. So on the light side of them, if you find a Yoda Oreo, that is the really rare limited kind of Oreo cookie for the light side, and then Mall, I believe, is the dark side, rare, unique item, whatever they're calling it. Are you going to collect these? Like, people are like buying these and storing them, and I'm not making fun of anybody that does. I mean, go right ahead if you do it.
I got a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old in the house, dude. If they come in the house, they'll find them.
Eaten.
Doesn't matter where I put them. They will get found. They will get eaten all at once.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, where'd they go? Oh, one of my friends came over. We ate 14 cookies. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's one sitting.
Where's the wrapper? I put it back. I put the empty container back into the cupboard. Oh, okay. Cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll throw that away later for you.
Yeah, I'll clean up after you. You gonna get me another box? No. Okay. All right. Good. Yeah.
Ed, what about you? You gonna collect these, or are you just gonna eat them?
I don't think so. I have like a can of Budweiser from 2012 that is like to commemorate the San Francisco Giants winning their first World Series in, I don't know, since 1950, whatever, since they were like the New York Giants. And that sits on my shelf, but half because I forget it's there. Like, my buddy went to San Francisco and brought, because he knows I'm a Giants fan. He brought it back for me, and like it just sits on my shelf, but mostly because I just like, oh yeah, I have this giant can of Budweiser, and I'm probably not going to drink Budweiser because there's better things to drink.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but joke's on you. They made you buy one, so
I didn't buy it. It was gifted to me.
Oh, it was gifted to you. Okay.
I have a collector's item for any Giants fans who want that on eBay.
I don't know how long these cookies are supposed to be in the stores. It seems like people are still buying. I'm still seeing lots of people post. I know they weren't initially, at least in the U.S., it was kind of hard to come by. Target and I think Walmart eventually started carrying them. And even like our biggest local grocery store here in Texas, they don't have them. And I don't think they have any plans to. So, your mileage may vary in terms of where you can find them, but I still see people posting all the time. So I imagine they're going to be in stores for a while, especially if Canada isn't supposed to get these until June 10th. Yeah.
Do you still have the blue milk? Remember the blue milk from like a month or two ago?
I don't. And I think I posted this. I was trying to hold off. I wanted that milk to survive long enough until these cookies came out. But I've seen other people post. In fact, our friends over at Triad of the Force, I saw them post a picture. Goose posted a picture of a blue milk along with the package of Oreos. I don't know what kind of insulin you need to recover from something like that, but I mean, it's just got to be, yeah. I mean, that milk is so sweet, and then on top of these cookies, forget about it.
That sounds like a huge fail by the Star Wars marketing people to not have these come out at the same time.
Right.
This is like when Rick and Morty did the Szechuan sauce. Like McDonald's brought the Szechuan sauce, but didn't bring it back for live Mulan. Like remember, like the live action Mulan came out. It's like, how do you not bring it back for that?
Missed marketing opportunities. Yep. That's why they need to call us.
They should be listening to this show.
Yeah, please do so. All right. Since we're on the topic of spending lots of money, something else that got released was the HasLab Mos Eisley Cantina set. It is here, $499. It is scheduled to come out fall of 2025. I didn't check it as of yesterday. They were sitting at 5,644 backers out of 8. They need 8,000 to make this happen. Let me just reload it because I think this does update in real time. But they're still short. Still a little bit of time to go. Yeah, 5,654. So let's just call it 75% of the way there. But they need. They've got 15 days left. So July 8th is the countdown ticker here. Have you guys ever bought anything from HasLab? I picked up what did you get? What did you buy?
When they rebooted the Hero Quest board game, I was in there right away. I bought the biggest package you could get to get all the add-ons and all that. I loved Hero Quest as a kid. That was my introduction to the world of tabletop role-playing games. So that was my big purchase. And there's been a few things that have come out through HasLab since then that I have taken to the Jedi Council, my wife, that she has said she senses much fear in them, and I did not get them. So there's no more shelf space. I got no shelf space for this beautiful bad boy here, but I went through all 79 photos in the gallery, taking a look at every single thing that is in there. And I'm always fascinated by the fandom's love of the Cantina. I think the Cantina is one of the purest things about Star Wars, and I also find it wild that George Lucas hates the Cantina scene. He's always hated the Cantina scene, but we as the fans absolutely adore it so much.
Yeah.
because he thought it was never what he wanted it to be. It was never. He like Jabba's palace was for him the zenith of what he wanted in Star Wars, but the cantina it has this. The way he shot it, there's so many close shots that you don't really see a lot together, and when you do, it's all very hidden. It's just, I love the cantina. It's so shitty, which is what I want,
Yeah.
Because there's so many Pardon?
I was going to say, have you been to the Disneyland cantina?
I did. Do you guys want to hear about my story with the bartender there? Because honestly, the guy who was the bartender at the August.
Was it Wur?
Pardon?
Was it Wur?
No, he's just some random dude. He was amazing. Like,
was he like your kind isn't allowed here?
No,
I got pulled up the picture right there for you. Go ahead.
No, he was a younger, handsome man, but he was dashing and charming. He had an eye patch. It was amazing. It might have been real, might have been costume. I don't really know. But we saw Kylo Ren before we went in, and so the bartender's like, "Did you guys see that Kylo Ren guy out there?" And I was like, "Yeah." We was walking by. He goes, "Man, I heard that guy's like a genius." And I go, "Yeah, apparently he built like his lightsaber." No. There's something on one of the big ships he built. An Atom driver. He built it. And he's like, threw a drink down, and he like walked away. Me and my buddies were bit into our cups at the time. We were like, we thought this was the greatest thing we'd ever heard in our lives. I tweeted about him. I was tweeting like, this guy at the Galaxy's Edge bar is like the funniest guy I've ever met in my life. Like, give him a raise. It was awesome. Yeah. Cast member shout out.
That's a great joke, actually.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's like a dad joke all the way.
And we're dads. We didn't see it coming. We should have sensed it, but there it was.
This also for $4.99, you also get the Tanaka sisters, which are kind of, they're a very, they're you see them, I think in one or two scenes originally. If you look at some of the original scripts and screenplays, they featured more heavily. There's a lot of promotional photos that were done with the Tanaka sisters. And I forget the actresses' names, but it's a deep cut, if you will, in terms of the cast in the cantina. And again, you get both of them, which is, I don't know that they've ever been released as figures. I could be wrong on that, but nice little throw in there. Ed, what about you? HasLab, this is anything you do here? You interested in this?
I'm just seeing 3.75 inch figures. Most of my figures are like the 6-inch figures, so they wouldn't fit. What's the point of having my Han Solo not fit in Mos Eisley? Also, $499. I don't know where I'd put it. Like, my cat would just be eating all the pieces.
I think you get this Greedo too, I guess, too, as well. Huh.
I love that Greedo. Like, look at the pants on the Greedo.
Well, and this is
the way they sit on the foot. I think that's just fantastic. Legitimately, stop laughing at it. I'm being serious here.
I love
broadcaster.
I love how much you love the detail.
I do. I really do.
I feel like the reason I think whatever Han Solo I got was I really loved the way the pants tucked into the boot.
Yeah.
Like, it just was like a nice detail. It's like, all right. Here's my money.
We've got into fashion and cuisine. We've covered all the topics in that.
Absolutely. This is the haute couture of Star Wars podcasts right here.
Where has a shot? He's got a gun, a blaster rifle, and I think that was from the Tales of the Cantina series of books, of short stories that they did, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, this is, I don't know. I know we've got a number of listeners and followers that go out. In fact, Rob is with us tonight. He's in the chat. I think he picked this one up, and he picked up the Ghost, which is the last one. I picked up the Ghost. It's supposed to ship this fall.
Ginormous one.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to go. Like you, like I'm done. Like, I have no more counter space anywhere in this studio. But
when they dropped that new like Barad-dûr Lego set, I convinced my wife to let me put up another shelf in the Lego area for that bad boy, and that was I can't get them both. Like, sure, I played my cards already. I'm done for the year. I got no game left.
I'm got to build a shed out in the backyard. That's the only place it can go to. All right. Well,
we'll call the shed a galaxy far, far away, and I'll just put everything that I want out in there.
Right. Or 50 feet, whatever it is. So if you're interested, you've got 15 days, 1 hour, 13 minutes to drop down $4.99, which I think shipping's included. So you got that going for you too. All right. See, look, Rob says he picked up 3. Now he's a big Rob's got a whole
He could get 5 though. It says limit 5. What are you doing, Rob?
Yeah, Rob,
Get 2 more.
what's going on there? He does on Instagram. He does like pictures where he poses the figures and reenact scenes and stuff. Great,
cool.
great work out there. I don't have his link up to his stuff, but this is his thing. He does a lot of action figure stuff. So I don't know why 3. I got questions, but I would have figured he would have at least picked up 1.
Rob and I should be friends. We should hang out. It's a bit of a commute, but we can figure it out.
All right, well, let's end on Star Wars Outlaws. This game obviously is coming out August 20th. Not much longer. I think, what are we, 2 months away from this? And in the last 2 weeks, at least, they released both the overview and the showcase trailers, which I had not. Well, of course, I hadn't seen them because they just released, but I hadn't even seen them until like maybe 4 or 5 days ago in preparation of this show. I went back and watched it, and holy crap, I was blown away. I really am looking forward. I was already looking forward to the game. I guess I just wasn't sure what to expect. They sold me on the graphics alone and some of the people that were behind it and that kind of thing. But actually watching these videos and seeing that we're going to get Lando and Jabba, and there's Bib Fortuna in there. Salacious B. Crumb is in there as well. Yeah, of course, he's part of that crew. But I'm super stoked about this. I've seen a lot of people talking about how it feels like it is going to be Uncharted just in Star Wars. And I'm seeing the creators go, man, if you guys are calling that, we're completely flattered. Like, that is the highest compliment, because that's not, Uncharted is an incredible franchise, really great game. So everything seems to be going really well with this game. Ed, is this something that you think you'd be interested in picking up and playing?
I think the worry is that it sounds like everything's going very well.
Huh.
Right? Like, are we sure? Are we sure August 30th? Like,
as far as
is this
the
going to
timing,
end up being? Is this going to end up being like? Actually, just kidding. October 30th. Just kidding. Right in time for Christmas. Just kidding. Valentine's Day.
It wouldn't be. Yeah, it's happened to us before, so I totally get. I get that. But yeah, I mean, you liking what you're seeing here?
Yeah, it looks great. What was the other one we were talking about like a couple months ago that they're like, oh, because you saw the video and then it just got canceled? Was that the Mandalorian one?
Yeah. The video was kind of like someone who did a promo on it, but yeah, that was the Mandalorian kind of I don't know, adventure game. I forget how they had touted that one, but yeah, that got scrapped.
Yeah, like, this looks great. If it's going to be like an open world and you just kind of get to do whatever you want, awesome. I'm in. Otherwise, like, just let it be released first.
Let's see what it comes out. Fred, what about you?
I'm always hit and miss with Star Wars video games. The ones that are good, I will play for hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hours. The ones that are bad, I just find myself frustrated with. I kind of Jedi Fallen Order kind of frustrated me. It felt like a game that was half cooked, like an amazing story, incredible dialogue, but the game itself felt pretty lackluster. And the thing about Star Wars is there's these emotional pull strings where you just have to put this in there, and then I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I got it. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot of that here. So I'm going to wait a bit, and then I'm going to see how the gameplay is and talk to my other nerd friends. But also, my hesitancy could be from the fact that I read for it and didn't even get a call
That's
back.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so maybe there's that. I thought I would be really stoked about that Star Wars Total War game that we kind of like. We didn't even really talk about it. We just sort of touched on it. That is something that I'm really, really stoked for. But I don't know. I think Star Wars strategy games are always really cool. The games of this nature tend to have incredible writing that is superior to even what you see in the shows and all that stuff. But the gameplay tends to be pretty clunky because they know that Star Wars fans just love Star Wars.
That's very true. They do. I mean, I'm one of them. Like I said, I was already going to buy it anyways. I had really didn't know anything about it.
Did you play the Disney game with the little pieces that you put on there?
Yeah. Disney Infinity.
Yes. The Disney Infinity Star Wars stuff was fantastic.
Good stuff. Yeah.
I thought that was absolutely incredible. I think that is my most recent, I'm blown away by what you've done. And it was incredibly simple, but there was so much to do, and I played it with my kids so much. I would like this. If it's that level, I'm fine. I'll wait and see what you say about it.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. This is more Disney Infinity. I mean, they did have a storyline, especially with the 3.0, which is where Star Wars was released. The Star Wars figures and the content came on Disney Infinity 3.0. This one does feel more like an Uncharted kind of thing, and it feels a little bit more like we already passed the moment in the video here where you got to make choices, and depending on the choices you make, impact later decisions. I mean, all this is kind of par for course these days. It's really nothing that huge. I think the big takeaway here for this one is this is truly our first true world immersive kind of game. There's not in this video here, but in the gameplay showcase, I'll just kind of flip over there and hit play on it. In the gameplay showcase trailer, we actually get to see her leave a space station, fly over into the Tatooine, go through hyperspace, come out of hyperspace, go into Tatooine's outer orbit, then go right down into the planet, into the atmosphere, land, get off, and then walk somewhere. I mean, that's the first time we've had anything like that.
Why are we always going to Tatooine?
I
thought
don't
Tatooine
know.
was some like backwater outpost but it's like clearly bigger than Coruscant. Like it's the most important planet in the galaxy.
It really is. We've joked about that all the time on the show.
I feel like you think about the difference of animating Tatooine versus having to animate Coruscant, right? Tatooine, it's just desert planet, one little city. Coruscant's like, we got to do a lot of stuff here.
Do you remember like every video game had fog? It was always fog, and you couldn't see
for
fog.
Spider-Man game,
yeah. So it's foggy. You can't see far. Do that, and then it's like, oh, it's polluted. Oh, we can't see anything.
Right.
Yeah. That's all.
That was a way to mask a lot of the clipping that was happening and not loading all the graphics in the background.
I remember it was like the Medal of Honor, the first Medal of Honor on PlayStation 1. Like every time you're outside, oh, it's snowing heavily. You can't see very far. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
If you have a chance, go ahead.
I was going to say, the more of this video I watch, I'm like, I really like Kay Vess's jacket there. I feel like I got to go to the thrift and look for something that looks like that.
No, Columbia's just going to release it.
Oh,
they're just going to release it a tie-in.
They have released so many Star Wars tie-ins, and I can never get one. They sell out in seconds.
I wanted that Han Solo coat so bad.
The Andor series, the Andor one. That's the one that I'm still heartbroken. I've never got my hands on that one.
That's the future tie-in merchandise.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you get a chance, go out there, watch these trailers. They do a really good job of kind of walking you through, and you get to kind of see exactly how this game is supposed to play it out and make a decision about, hey, is this something I'd be interested in doing? It's very unique. There's a lot of cool stuff that's going on here. There are some things that I'm looking at and going, oh, that's from this game or that's from this game. But again, it's in Star Wars. And I will say this, like the amount of detail, if you can just see it on the video here, like this is all real time. It's crazy how much detail has been put into this world and how immersive it can truly be. The likes of which we haven't seen. This is where she's going to get in the ship, take off, and head to Tatooine. But so take a look at it. See if you're interested. You've got till August 20th, and there's all kinds of stuff that you can put your pre-orders in for and get extra bonuses and stuff if you want to do that as well. What were you going to say? Last thoughts there, Fred?
No, I was watching the video like an idiot. Just like sitting here like, oh, just watching it.
Yeah. Well,
I love Star Wars so much. I love it so much. I'm such a mark. It's the worst. Like I can't even help it. Like I just instinctively just get suckered into it every time it's there. If I go into a store and there's a TV with Star Wars and I'll just stand in front of it and watch it.
Yeah.
I can't even help myself.
Can you move?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh God.
All right.
Ed's seen it firsthand. It's very sad and depressing.
Ed, comments before we go?
It looks great. I was doing the same thing Fred was doing. It's like, what? Oh, you were also doing that. Okay.
I wanted you to comment on Fred.
I was just walking through the hallway, right?
Yeah,
like that was the best part of going through the Disneyland ride, where you're actually getting to go through the hallways of like the Millennium Falcon or whatever else. You're like, I'm in the Star Wars.
I'm in Star Wars. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Waystation. We'll be back, I guess, in 2 weeks to do this all over again, depending on what comes out here. We'll kind of play it by ear. It's summertime, so it's not as busy, as frantic as typically as, fall, spring, that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about even more Star Wars. Don't forget, right after this, Jonesy and I are going to talk about, do a Q&A from all of their supporters, answer a lot of the questions, speculate on a lot of stuff, very recklessly, I might add. And we're going to take a look at all of the footage that has been shown as far as the teasers and trailers for Acolyte that has not made its way into the first 4 episodes and speculate on why that could happen in the next 4. So, again, Patreon members, there's a link for you guys. Just head out to the Patreon page, hit the link there. You'll jump into that YouTube channel. Let's see, anything else before I get it? And now, yes, also, by the way, next this week we'll break down, obviously on Wednesday will be our breakdown of episode 5 of The Acolyte, and then we'll come back on Sunday and do this all over again. What's up?
One more.
One
Okay,
more.
underneath your name, is that like the expiry date from one of the
It
packs?
is.
I
That's
thought
a
it
good-
was. I thought it was. I wanted to ask you about that. But I
Yes.
didn't have an opportunity. Okay, good. I'm out. That's all I got.
Yep. 30th October 2024 is when they expire. It's batch D36 and it's A, which is the light side. So good. You get the gold star for tonight, Fred.
Solid. Absolutely.
Good job, man. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here. And we'll see you all here very shortly.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.